It's a new rivalry born of proximity and expedited by an instant classic at Toyota Field on May 7th. Today, a South Texas Derby rematch. Rio Grande Valley FC Toros visiting San Antonio FC in the United Soccer League Game of the Week. Joined by Juan Arango, I'm Mike Watson. First meeting between these two sides, 5 second-half goals, a 3-2 RGV FC victory. In this, the second of 4 meetings won. Can we expect even better?
Sure, why not? And well, if you start looking at it from the San Antonio perspective, they do need better because they really need to start scoring more goals and, even more important, creating opportunities to score those goals. On the other hand, you do have a team in RGV coming in, house on fire, have been absolutely on a roll, being unbeaten in their last 3 matches. So it'll be a good matchup between two teams in dire need to continue, but also in dire need to right the ship.
Let's meet some players who are going to be key tonight. TJ Kasner for RGV leads the league in assists, 21 years old.
Yeah, one of those main catalysts for the offense here for RGV and Wilmer Cabrera. So definitely start looking at him as one of the main protagonists in order to create some important offense for RGV in this matchup tonight.
Meanwhile, for San Antonio, once upon a time, second overall pick by Chivas in 2013. Now Carlos Alvarez is the centerpiece of the attack for San Antonio FC.
A man that was selected by Chivas USA because their coach back then, Chile, said, well, he's the only one that was looking up. Well, he's definitely going to have to do a lot of looking up and finding his teammates, connecting and making passes more intricate and more precise in order to get those opportunities.
Let's meet the starting 11s, and we begin with RGV FC. Callie Brown will make his second consecutive start for Rio Grande Valley. In total, all 11 start again after a 4-1 victory over Swope Park Rangers.
Again, a very good formation here, but again, you can't really try to fix what's not broken. Sorry to rob that old cliche there, but you really start to see RGV rolling. Why are you going to start changing? Why are you going to start trying to make some more opportunities happen?
So Rio Grande Valley with the same 11 for San Antonio FC. 3 players on the way out. Stephen McCarthy, Greg Cochran, and Danny Garcia begin tonight on the bench.
And they are replaced by Biko Bradnott Brennan, Bobby Mosley, and Michael Reed. Up top, no changes. They're doing what they can in order to create in front of goal, but it's that development, that evolution of the attack in the middle sector that's been really hindering San Antonio so far.
The U.S. men's national team may be playing just 300 miles away in Frisco, but in San Antonio tonight, a USL masterpiece potentially. It's San Antonio FC and Rio Grande Valley FC Toros. It's coming your way next, the USL Game of the Week. Two teams in very different form entering today's USL Game of the Week. San Antonio 1-3-1 in their last 5. Rio Grande Valley, their fans excited because they are on a 2-0-1 stretch over their last 3 games that's catapulted them into 5th place in the Western Conference. Wilmer Cabrera is the head coach, hired in December, his first season at the helm of this expansion franchise. Formerly the right back for the Colombian national team and the final head coach for Chivas USA in 2014.
You make it sound like it was such a long time ago.
And there is a heavy Wilmer Cabrera on both sides, truly, presence because of his impact in the U.S. international system at the youth level and with Chivas as well.
I mean, he's been able to really develop a good portion of these players, or at least have them fall into his philosophy of watching football and really seeing and observing the game. So you'll see a lot of his influences trying to play out wide, trying to short passing, intricate passing will be very key to see what goes on today.
31-year-old Brandon Artis is the referee today, a graduate of the University of Dayton. He's a Flyer.
I hope he's like that on the pitch too.
He's going to have a lot of running to do today on a field that's been waterlogged for much of the weekend at Toyota Field in San Antonio.
That match that you're talking about this past weekend, that edges, the wings, really took a great deal of a beating. I'm talking about the pitch. I'm talking about the pitch itself. It took a great deal of a beating, especially with both Energy FC and San Antonio facing off. Josh Ford with a great effort. Unfortunately, he was not able to prevent the goal by Colin Bonner, but overall has been so solid under the sticks for San Antonio.
Kasner, the first touch to Kyle Murphy, and we're underway. It's the USL Game of the Week. Rio Grande Valley, 7 points in their last 3 games. 14 points on the season, 5th in the Western Conference entering the week. San Antonio FC off to a terrific start early, but have pittered out a little bit of late, trying to regain form. It's a lack of scoring for them. It's a lack of opportunities. They had some looks against Cody Lorendi last time out against OKC Energy. The goalkeeper certainly up to the task, but there's a lot of question marks for this attack of San Antonio.
And you mentioned Cody Lorendi, and that was part of the reason why he was the goalkeeper in this week's Team of the Week. So definitely not because of lack of effort, just not being able to create quantity and opportunities, quality and opportunities, but obviously the effort has been there. So things you need to push through and see what you can do in order to start creating better chances.
Charlie Ward to put it in play. Hot and humid tonight. Temperatures in the upper 70s at kickoff. It's Kasner. Michael Reed sticking his foot in. He was last to touch it. The ball to RGV. 2 expansion franchises. San Antonio got off the ground just 3.5 months before the season began. Took over the stadium in San Antonio. Sean Chin's pass knocked away. Taken over by Reed.
Chin has been one of those players that's been able to create off the dribble and really start finding other teammates. Chin starts creating opportunities for players like Rafa Castillo, making those deep runs into the middle. Also for Danny Garcia, who's not playing today, one of those players that really helped out in creating that last goal that they scored, well, not a long time ago, but actually a match and a half ago in Oklahoma City.
Meanwhile, Sean Chin getting involved early here.
And that's exactly what RGV need to do. Try and shut him down a little quicker. Try and not have him get so much space to meet up with the ball, and try and find an opportunity to neutralize him and get him as uninvolved as possible. Then you start to see that San Antonio offense start to sputter even more.
Rafael Castillo standing over the ball. McBride, Johnson, Bradnock, Brennan, targets in the 18. Castillo puts it on net. Put it up and over.
Good job there by the Colombian veteran, looking for the cross, but instead saw the goalkeeper leaning in the opposite direction, decided to take a gamble, but that risk was really very low pay as far as that was concerned.
Callie Brown, a goal allowed, a couple of saves against Swope Park Rangers in a 4-1 Toros victory last time out. Malky up the field. Escalante knocked off the ball.
have to try and get Kasner involved as much as possible to play down the wings. Will have to do. Again, it'll be a factor with the conditions on the wings, on the near side more so, seeing how they can really distribute and transport the ball up the pitch.
Malky up the line, Escalante giving chase. And the back pass nearly put in the net by Escalante.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you cannot be that forgiving. You cannot be able to miss those types of opportunities because you have to put those balls in the back of the net. Poor defense, but even worse finishing by Escalante.
And through the wickets, but couldn't put it in.
Unbelievable there on both sides. Not one more than the other, but then sometimes you get a ball that easily gift wrapped to you. Well, you got to put that in the back of the net.
At the field by Chin. Garcia, long ball. And a foul is Johnson pushing in. Callie Brown still down. A lot is made of Johnson's pace, but he is a physical top forward as well for San Antonio.
And you see right there, momentum just really running him in, but to a certain extent. There's number 81, number 31, and number 32 giving his best homage to Peter Crouch there. Notice his shorts say 32, his jersey says 31.
Blasted back to midfield and beyond by Brown. Escalante, the header, knocked down by Alvarez, who has not been overly busy in the early going. Bobby Mosley, the product of EPL side Stoke City. Played further up the line. The move inside is eventually stopped by RGV. It is a corner kick first of the game for either side. It's for San Antonio.
Again, that is what Rafa Castillo can offer you. And that'll be very important to see how he does that with the ball off the dribble. As, again, you see Darren Powell, the coach for San Antonio. Castillo pretty much serving the role as, I guess, quote-unquote, coach on the field. And has been a very good general so far for this young squad.
Put in play and handled. Falls, Palacios. And a long-range try is well over the bar. Biko Bradnock Brennan took just his second shot of the season, and that's probably why.
There you go, a man that has a name very similar to a Spider-Man villain right there. Really trying to take a shot, and as you said, that's why he's a defender.
The former Elon University coach for 10 years, Darren Powell, and the Orlando City Soccer Club Pro Academy director for the last couple of seasons, for taking over as the head coach for the home side tonight. The header for Kasner. Settles, gets away from Reed, plays through Escalante. He sends the low cross, and it's deflected away and played further by Salazar.
Great work there by Kasner. As I was talking before, Mike, have to get him involved because it's not only his goal-scoring capability, it's also his ability to release the ball and find the proper space and the proper timing that makes him so dangerous.
It's the Clemson man coming up big in the early going, and Chin played up the line. Magalhaes ushers it out.
Again, you start to see right there, as you see it on the low hand, right there, a low right-hand side of your screen, as McBride, very well timed, very good as far as his movement. Him alongside, you started to see Stephen McCarthy and McBride really doing a good combination there in the middle. Now you see McBride stepping up and doing some really good work as the solo player now.
Salazar putting his foot in. Eugenio James lost the ball. Alvarez stepping over. And his through ball knocked away from Johnson. Ball still in play for San Antonio, a team that has 4 losses on the season, each by 1 goal, 3 1-0 losses. It's Garcia up the line. Palacio giving chase.
Again, that is what Milton Palacio does offer you. He ends up going down the line and trying to cross. Mike, he is going to offer you those crosses, those opportunities to really take a header inside the 6 or the penalty area. That his pace and his ability to control the ball down the wings, a really major player. Let's see what Rafa Castillo can do here on the corner.
Castillo on the USL team of the week a couple of weeks ago. He's got Carlos Alvarez with him. They do go short. And now the cross is knocked away in front of the net. A diving effort. The effort from Memo Rodriguez is Johnson the target.
Again, you see right there, nobody goes and attacks. You see the defense freeze up instead of going and really attacking and really trying to cut the angle there. They sit and watch, and Rafa Castillo could just pick a spot anywhere with that type of space.
And Alvarez will take the far side corner. Alvarez was picked in 2013 by Chivas, was released by Wilmer Cabrera, head coach for RGV. That ball again played toward midfield, and a long-range crack from Mosley. Got well under it. Goal kick for RGV.
Like the intention, like the proposition that you see San Antonio trying to impose on the pitch. Now, from a theoretical standpoint, you start looking at how they're spaced out, how the opportunities are not really coming through down the middle. They're using the wings and the balls are coming through. The problem is that they're not connecting with the man that they should be connecting in the middle.
It's Escalante up the line, followed by Salazar, and eventually fouled from behind.
You see the complaints there by Escalante saying, hey, come on, ref, you got to start making the calls there. Salazar, but it's Palacio at the end, the one that comes in and blocks the angle, makes it much more of an obstacle to go through. Set piece here. Let's see how some of the big boys for RGV respond in a set piece opportunity, one of significance now for a change.
Rodriguez standing over the ball. He puts it in play and sends it wide off the head of Kai Green. Mission City 118 and the Crocketeers, the supporters group in San Antonio. Loud as always.
Probably louder than Frisco right now.
It's just a 4.5-hour drive up the road. The U.S. men's national team is playing right now. Chin sliding down, and we're going to see a lot of that today. That grass over there is...
It's been, we're talking off camera how it's been raining the past couple of days in this area. We've seen some of the consequences of that rain. Bit compromising, don't you think, there by to turn around in front of a defender like that. You're going to have some big ones there by Sam McBride.
You can get a better look at this field at Toyota Field, opened in 2013. Capacity just under 9,000 with ability to expand far beyond that. This is a San Antonio franchise that has made no bones about their intention of moving into MLS at some point down the line. This is a stadium that will eventually be able to fit MLS-sized crowds. One that's fit large USL crowds already this year. They've sold this joint out already. Kasner's ball was touched. And sliding is Josh Ford. He can't get there in time. It's a corner for RGV.
Starting to see the tide turn a little bit more. Initially, you start to see San Antonio with a lot more impetus going towards the goal defended by Callie Brown. Now you see things balancing out a little bit more and even tipping in the direction of the visitors. That's something San Antonio needs to prevent in order to continue that momentum that they're trying to look for and trying to revert their current run of form.
Escalante take the corner. Whipped across the face of goal. And the header wide left. No play for Ford, a goal kick coming up. San Antonio coming off a stretch where these fans were ultra busy. 3 games in 7 days for SAFC. Brennan, the back pass again. Ford playing it to midfield. Ball may have gotten up, caught the arm, the attacker for San Antonio.
Michael Reed gets called for the infraction. Again, very difficult to handle the ball here for San Antonio. They've tried to just clear the ball, back pass it to the goalkeeper, but you really don't see them connecting, trying to make their passing game a little bit more fluid. They need to start doing that in order to start finding that momentum that they had at the beginning of the match.
Bradnock Brennan passed over. Instead, they go left and up the wing for San Antonio. It's Mosley, Salazar. Through ball, right side. Palacios. All the way across again. No one was on the back post to receive.
2 things there. Palacios taking full advantage of the defense, really respecting Jason Johnson's speed. So what does he do? He peels around the back, finds the open space, got a little too wide on that second touch. That first touch, again, so crucial in order to make things happen for you.
So it's Callie Brown to put it back in play, the Virginia native. Off the head of Bradnock Brennan. Memo Rodriguez did keep it in. He falls down. Played over the middle, and the shot knocked away by Ford.
Again, the runs that are being made down the wings, being able to split through the 2 defenders, and again, this is a tribute to the intelligence of the runners, of the people making those runs, finding those spaces, but more importantly, the defense not recognizing it and making the adjustment and recognizing that they do have the opportunity or the potential to cause some damage.
It's Reed for San Antonio after the near opening goal for RGV. And they forced a couple of brutal errors for San Antonio so far. A couple of back passes, a couple of turnovers in the midfield. RGV has had their chances.
And they have had their chances. They've had some opportunities to be able to create important goal-scoring opportunities.
Johnson for Chin, and that's knocked away. No score between San Antonio and Rio Grande Valley, separated by just 250 miles. Tim Holt sang when the franchise began for San Antonio that it was a logical rivalry based on geography, a common denominator of sorts. But then you have to actually play the games, and you have to actually create rivalry. And
the rivalries are made on the pitch, not on your local map.
Game 1 certainly would indicate that this will have some juice to it down the line.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it will. And then again, if we have to wait until the second half, well,
right.
Let it be, you know, if that's what we're promised.
5 combined goals between these sides in the second half of their game a couple of weeks back. And they're going to be meeting again in Rio Grande Valley for the first time later on this season. But also again in just 2 weeks, and Kasner has blasted off the ball. It is a foul, and it goes against McBride.
Now the central defense, they're dropping back. Milton Palacios doesn't even watch. You see the entire defense not even recognize Kasner. He has about 20 yards to run, but then you have to do a double axe handle to bring him down. That's not very good defense.
What's McBride surprised about there?
he should be surprised that he actually fell, because if he didn't execute that move better, he was going to go around him and through him, and it was probably going to end up being a goal.
Kasner stepping away from the ball for Rio Grande Valley. Escalante over the ball on the right-hand side for RGV. Already a point-blank chance stopped by Ford. A four-man wall for San Antonio! Ford again, a terrific save.
Again, Josh Ford, if there's been a silver lining to the dark cloud that has been San Antonio's form recently, that man under the sticks. Ford has been sensational.
And Escalante, that was a pretty good shot too.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, you got to give him credit, but of course, no great shot, no phenomenal save.
So Ford claims the ball for San Antonio. His kick upfield not nearly strong enough of a clearance. Chin, Alvarez, over the top. Salazar was chasing on the right-hand side. Johnson on the left. The ball split the pair.
It did split the pair, but very flat pass, really not allowing anyone to lead on to the ball properly, and that really ends up ending your attack in a very kind of manner.
Memo Rodriguez had no help on the touchline. It's Salazar for Alvarez, and the step-in challenge to take the ball back for RGV as Kasner took over.
One thing to notice, the team that has the first touch and is executing those types of plays best is the one that's going to come out on top. They're holding the ball in certain instances, maybe 1-2 touches too many, and that's what really ends up thwarting a play, ends up hindering a play from progressing. If you really don't start to move properly and move quickly, that really defeats the element of surprise, and that's been what both sides have been doing and really hindering their attacks on a consistent basis.
And that goes beyond field condition. It doesn't look great on the pitch right now, but certainly goes beyond that.
Oh, it does. It does. And right now, you have to see right there, Rafa Castillo making the difference.
Alvarez. And he didn't get the touch off as he slipped just a bit. And RGV running back the other direction, and they may have numbers. A step in from Palacios. There's no call there.
Oh, good no call.
Here comes McBride. Make it read up the left side, and now a long-range crack is handled in between the pipes by Callie Brown. '22nd minute, and things beginning to heat up in San Antonio. James up the right-hand side for the Toros. Kept in by Mosley. TJ Kasner, 4 assists on the year in his rookie season out of Clemson. On the ball again. Ward.
Got to move around.
Everybody's standing in place right now. Meanwhile, San Antonio no longer standing in place. Alvarez has the ball taken away. Ward retrieves it. Here come the Toros up the near side. Mulkey. The give and go. Kasner. The extra touch, and it's knocked away before Kyle Murphy could take over.
Murphy had to move a little bit quicker. That ball was perfectly set up, but it took him way too long to make his run. Again, running off the ball has been so crucial in order to be able to create your spaces, something that has been evolutionizing throughout modern football, really having to open up the spaces based on the runs that you make away from the ball. That is the key, and you haven't seen that really on a consistent basis. That really needs to be seen, especially with RGV.
trying to switch the point of the attack. It's back to Rio Grande Valley, though. George Malky. Palacios taking the ball away, but he didn't continue the play. It's Rodriguez trying, and it's punched away again. Ford under siege in the early going for San Antonio.
For Ford, it's exciting as dancing with his grandmother, but that's definitely something that is part of the responsibility for the goalkeeper. When you're getting peppered, you have to be the hero.
25th minute and a goal kick. This is easier action for Ford. Josh Ford, drafted by Seattle Sounders, a couple of knee injuries in 2012 and again in 2013. He was the shutout record holder and consecutive start record holder for UConn. And last year got a couple of chances to play at the MLS level with Orlando City. New York native plays it back across midfield. McBride stepping up. Chin giving chase, slid back. And again, the pressure against the back line. It's turned over to San Antonio.
Just trying to relieve a little bit of the pressure. And San Antonio have to take full advantage of it and not give the ball away like they just did now for the third time this match.
As Reed's pass intercepted, it's James from Malky, who played on the U17 U.S. international side for Wilmer Cabrera. Malky playing it up the line, and you could hear immediately he didn't like how that ball came off. A late whistle, it is a throw for San Antonio.
You see Wilmer Cabrera coming off the bench. Not pleased with the passing, but has to be pleased with the opportunities that have been more dangerous coming off of RGV.
San Antonio an opportunity, and Johnson rushing up the back post. Nothing there.
That fan's absolutely right. Talk to each other.
We don't get to hear all the communication that happens down on the field, but what kind of things, we're talking about first touches not being sharp. What kind of communication, that isn't the thing that you're trying to fix necessarily. It just seems like the spacing isn't right now.
Well,
no?
that too. The spacing isn't right. The way they're holding the ball isn't right. The way their decision-making process isn't right as well. I mean, but also give some credit to RGV. They're starting to pressure the outlets and being able to prevent them from clearly coming out. But at the same time, you have to try and find the open man by first touching your way through.
Rodriguez playing it over the top, and Ford there to handle it. Sean Chin from Mosley. Back for Chin again. Plays for Johnson. Pushed away. Alvarez giving chase. It's going to fall to Salazar. Heads for Johnson. Couldn't climb the ladder to knock it down. But Salazar taking over again for San Antonio.
Nice.
A couple of great moves to get around, and he sends his cross that's too high for Johnson. But it's settled by Chin and knocked upfield.
Again, you start to see this game in ebbs and flows. You do see that there's a promise, as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, the potential to be able to create some goal-scoring opportunities. That has happened, but there hasn't been continuity. There hasn't been fluidity on either side. They've been trying to take advantage of each other's mistakes.
Palacios played away by Rodriguez, and Kasner walking ahead with the ball for RGV. Rio Grande Valley to unveil a new stadium later this year. This takes a deflection on the way. Ford giving chase. He can't keep it in, and it leads to a corner kick As Ford carrying the ball back momentarily, the Toros indeed have the corner.
And again, good strategy if you look at it. You know, send it deep and try and force a mistake, and they've done both. As it's corner kick number 3 for RGV.
Ford up to the task every time. Memo Rodriguez being hampered. That's out front. And here's the shot that's deflected away. Palacios, a near handball on the shot back in by Garcia. And it comes out for San Antonio as Johnson holds the ball up.
Now, one thing that has been very impressive from San Antonio has been the way they defend their set pieces, especially the corner kicks. Not only being able to clear danger out, but also trying to create some danger on the opposite end on the breakaways and on the actual counterattacks. Start looking at that a little bit more, especially when they start getting more in rhythm and more synchronization as far as who they have to defend.
The Honduran Palacios throwing in. And what's surprising about RGV in particular is this is the same starting 11 that they destroyed Swope Park Rangers with just a couple of days ago, a 4-1 victory. It's the same 11 on the field, and there's just a little bit of lack of continuity, seemingly, despite the lineup's continuity.
Well, it's also attributed to the team. I mean, you do have a lot of young players that will be brilliant one day and maybe a little erratic the next. You do have the travel factor. So, I mean, you won't see the same player maybe 2-3 times in a row, but that's also part of the developmental process that you see a lot of the players getting here at RGV and many other clubs as well.
And both of these sides with an interesting mix of experience. And that ball's all the way up here.
Ooh. All right.
Hide the camera.
That's why I'm hiding behind you, man. But that's why you do have players such as Rafa Castillo, such as Josh Ford, to kind of settle, anchor these younger players down and kind of help them focus a little bit better as far as the task at hand.
Especially for these independent clubs. It's a hybrid as Johnson gets away. Johnson in the box, an extra touch, and he put it through the legs of Garcia, and it's handled by Brown.
It's called hitting the dummy, what Johnson just did right there. Going right at the goalkeeper. Needed to be a little bit more aggressive. Didn't have an opportunity. Don't wait, especially when you're so near to the box waiting for support. Go for it. Try and see what happens. You know, rebound or a bounce somewhere, it could go in your favor.
It's Escalante, who is heavily involved in the early going, less so of late. Kasner turning, and the shot deflected by Bradnock Brennan. It's another corner for RGV, the hybrid affiliate of the Houston Dynamo, meaning that the tactical decisions and roster decisions come from Houston, and then all the day-to-day club operations come from the same group that owns the Rio Grande Valley affiliate in the NBA D League, as Escalante to take another corner. What kind of changes do you make on corners? Because RGV has had now 4 opportunities and not really much to show for it yet. Escalante playing across the back post. Ford didn't get enough of that. Played across a second time. That's over the top of everybody. And Escalante gets the ball. Play continues. And that's whipped all the way across and out of play.
To answer your question,
put the ball on target?
To put the ball on target. That's the first one. The second one is try and find an angle or a spot that is most favorable to the personnel that you have. And what I mean by that, if you have shorter players making runs to the back post, you're going to get beaten by a tall player, and that's pretty much obvious, okay? If you try and go first post, if you try and go short, if you try and show some different variations, that could help you out a little bit more.
Headed along, Chin can't hang on. When you've got a player like Johnson, we talk about pace, we talk about strength. His ability to hold up play, hugely useful, as Malky up the line. Memo Rodriguez, top of the 18, and his cross is handled by Mosley.
Milton Palacios has been spinning around. I'm surprised he's not dizzy right now.
Salazar has issued the first caution of the game.
The 34th minute.
His first yellow card of the season.
But again, you do see with San Antonio, another factor that we haven't talked about is Manolo Sanchez isn't in the starting lineup. Of course, he was playing this past weekend against with Puerto Rico against the U.S. national team, not getting that opportunity today to be able to dress. But that's a very important absence too. Why? Because it does free up Chin to be able to drop back and have Manolo Sanchez be that one that does all the dirty work up top. It allows Chin to free up a little bit more and have clearer opportunities and more touches on the ball.
Salazar nodded out of harm's way, but it takes a hop back to Rafa Castillo. Turning and dishing wide, it's Chin. As Palacios on the overlapping run, decides to go inside himself. And now Palacios has the ball. And he sends it across. It's handled again by Brown.
Again, the idea is good, trying to go down the wings. It's been the right side that has been the side au preference as far as San Antonio is concerned, so why not keep going there? But again, you start getting into a dilemma whether it's predictable or not.
You mentioned Manolo Sanchez is out, so too is Sebastian Tourrier, who is on the Haitian Copa America squad. He's in the 28 as they prepare for roster cutdowns. If he doesn't make the roster, should be back in a week or two.
But seeing how he's been playing, definitely one of those players to be looking at as far as the national team for Haiti, for Le Grenadier.
Tourrier is a fun player to watch. Through ball from Kasner. Bradnock Brennan throwing the elbow out against Kyle Murphy. A little bit of contact there.
And you talk about Tourrier, he's one of those players that, I mean, he's just so silky smooth with the ball at his feet, just being able to get away from danger, get away from situations, as the handball being called there in favor of San Antonio. Just really one of those features that San Antonio does have in the middle to really hold the ball and show some poise. And that's one of the things that you see with this Haitian national team, with Tourrier being able to move that ball around very well, what we saw in the Gold Cup last year and what we could possibly see in Copa America.
So it's Castillo for San Antonio. 37th minute, scoreless. Castillo, the long ball. It's knocked down. McBride was involved, was pushing against the keeper, Brown, who now collapses to the ground with loud jeers coming from the stands.
See the referee trying to settle things down. He's controlled it pretty much, has done a good job controlling some of the contact that has been occurring. Again, right here. Just gets it a little bit nudged out of his hands, but fortunately he's able to collect it a second time.
38th minute, and for all the news and results fit to print about the USL, go to uslsoccer.com. It's all 29 teams all the time, uslsoccer.com. Mike Watts with Juan Arango from San Antonio, Texas. It's the South Texas Derby, second meeting all time between Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio, each in their expansion season. Alvarez, and it's poked away, and the struggles on the attack for San Antonio continues.
And of course, one of the players that we did highlight at the beginning, Alvarez, having all types of struggles, trying to be that creator, trying to be that metronome. That's been the responsibility of Rafa Castillo so far, because Alvarez hasn't been able to step up.
Long range shot again, Ford. What a save for San Antonio. Another for the highlight reel.
And another for his lobbying to be on that ideal 11 each week. This week, of course, Corley Lorendi, but Josh Ford for next week making a definite case, as he's already had 3 important saves in this first half.
But the danger not up yet for Rio Grande Valley on the offensive end. Playing across, and it's punched away by Ford. And it's a throw-in for Rio Grande Valley.
He did have an opportunity to trap that ball, to catch that ball, but had heard footsteps. And we thought they were a little bit closer than they actually were.
Kasner was offside. Rafa Castillo, 35 years old, has gone the full 96 different times this season for San Antonio. Turns 36 on June 6th. A couple of days after these teams meet in Rio Grande Valley for the first time. Reed, then Salazar. Claimed by Malky. Touched by Kasner. And sprays it wide for Rio Grande Valley. Kasner, another nice move to get around Castillo. And lays it off, and then the blast is wide left.
But again, who's supporting Kasner there? Because you see him running, and you see his teammate right there going and running alongside him, but not really opening himself up. In this case, it was Jorginho James, but you still start looking and okay, fine. When is someone going to make that dagger run, that opportunity to be able to make that stabbing pass for him, to really show his talents and really make this San Antonio defense really get under pressure? When's that going to happen? You haven't seen it yet with the rest of the team.
Rio Grande Valley has scored 8 goals in their last 3 games. They have been hitting on all cylinders of late. Just not there so far today, although they've had their cracks. They've been thwarted by Ford 3 different times.
Oh yeah, and most of the shots have been from middle and long range, so that's also very worrying that the San Antonio defense is offering that much space to have those shots be created.
As Alvarez was giving chase, the ball belongs to Brown. Johnson pushing. Johnson stepping in, knocked away in the nick of time, but it falls to Castillo. Wide for Mosley. The back pass, Reed collects and shifts up the line, but it's handled by RGV. Mosley pushing, touched on the line, and the whistle against Mosley.
One thing that's been a bit puzzling as you see the play here once again, and the foul being committed, is RGV becoming a little too dependent on what happens on the left. Not a lot of opportunities and not a lot of risks being taken to try and open that defense up. Therefore, you do see a shift defensively over towards the defense's right, I should say, the offensive's left. And you don't see the opportunities now being created. They've kind of settled a little bit as far as the long distance shot, which has been effective, but you do need to start trying to attack and run at goal a little bit more.
Well, and to talk about the right-hand side, Kai Green hasn't really done much of anything on the right-hand side. That's the side of the field that's better conditioned for gameplay today. And really the guy who's been most busy on the right-hand side is the center attacking midfielder, the guy who leads the team in assists, don't get me wrong, in TJ Kasner, but he's playing all the way out wide and not shifting from the middle like he is right here.
See right there, you see the avenue right open for him.
Kai plays it across. Castillo dummies it by. Chin couldn't take over. James sends the cross, and it's defended away by Bradnock Brennan.
Again, as you see RGV. I say that, but still, they're getting opportunities, but now you start to see him threaten inside the area. Again, it's Jorginho James giving some options. You do see a number of players going down that side trying to see, but also you do see the matchup that they have. James going up against Palacio. That's a big factor right there.
Rodriguez service. Played back in by Escalante, headed by Alvarez. A push from behind goes without a foul. Now the foul goes against RGV. And a quick restart. It's Chin up the right-hand side. Chin between three defenders, and it's taken away. Kasner through the legs of Salazar, but taken by Palacios. Castillo up the left side. Johnson chests it forward. Johnson ushers it out, and a corner kick coming for San Antonio FC.
Let's see what happens here. You have some of the big boys, Brendan coming in. Of course, he's going to try and rush down the middle. Rafa Castillo dropping back. Chin also trying to be a nuisance to the goalkeeper at least, or at least Johnson will try and take on that responsibility, and Carlos Alvarez really potential in-swinger.
He does whip it inside. It's Johnson, plays it to the backside. And another corner coming up.
Man, down there on the far side. But again, that's what you need to start looking for in corners. Johnson being able to free himself up. The defense don't recognize him, and Chin lurking in with that rebound.
So Alvarez will get another chance. Magalhaes is the injured player.
Guess we've got a chance here to see what happened with Magalhaes. But there, ooh, okay, well.
Pardon, Rodriguez there.
Yeah, Memo Rodriguez right there, yeah.
Nearing the end of stoppage time, only 1 minute given. Alvarez plays it again. McBride the header, and again it's kept off the line by Callie Brown.
Good work there to find the open man. Unfortunately, ends up being a little teardrop to the goalkeeper, Callie Brown. See the replay right there. Starts heading it as he's going away, but still a good opportunity. You have seen chances, but it's been RGV that has had the majority of them, and it's been Josh Brown, to me, as of right now, man of the match candidate.
And without doubt, the best chance for San Antonio came in the final seconds of the first half. But RGV, as you mentioned, dominating the offensive opportunities.
That's something that needs to be rectified, and rectified quickly by Darren Powell. And on the opposite end, try and create more opportunities, both quantity and quality.
Coming up at halftime, schedule for our upcoming USL Game of the Weeks, standings, and the new team in USL announced this week. But when we return, highlights and stats. No score between Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio in the USL Game of the Week. Gorgeous Toyota Field in San Antonio, Texas. Halfway done in the USL Game of the Week, and we're scoreless between Rio Grande Valley FC, Toros, and San Antonio FC. The South Texas Derby, they're calling it. The fan bases today, they were loud, they were excited, and both sides making an appearance here today.
That they have, they've shown up in a big way. The fans have, some making the trek, some supporting unconditionally, but it's been a first half filled with a little bit of everything except goals.
Escalante had his chance. Palacios sending across, nobody there. Both sides had their opportunities. It was Ford who came up big, though.
Quite a few times you'll see a lot more of that man in red showing up big. That's another opportunity here, is the save by Josh Ford. A tremendous performance by the San Antonio goalkeeper.
A handball leading to a set-piece opportunity. Castillo, foul there over the top. It was whistled against McBride. The earlier chances for San Antonio on the set piece. How about that save?
It was just a highlight reel for Josh Ford to keep and treasure for the future, but we've seen offensively, nothing has really been created of importance as far as going into the back of the net.
Sean Chin had his chance. McBride has his. The last two opportunities on set pieces for San Antonio, clearly their best.
That is absolutely true, and to start looking at it from another perspective too, it does build towards the second half, or at least that's what Darren Powell wants to see, or he wants to see it that way. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
No score between San Antonio FC and Rio Grande Valley FC Toros. When we come back, the upcoming USL Game of the Week schedule, a look at the United Soccer League standings, and the new kids on the block. Another team is being added, the 31st in the USL. We tell you about them when we come back.
Stretched out to the middle, back to Grande.
Toyota Field in San Antonio. Giant crowds throughout the early portion of the season, but just a 1-2-1 record for San Antonio FC in their new home digs. They are tied at the half with Rio Grande Valley FC Toros with no score. Back with Juan Arango, Mike Watts, and we look at the standings in the United Soccer League, and of the 29 teams, it's still so early that every team feels like they have an opportunity to move up. San Antonio is playing so well in the early going. Things have kind of slowed of late, but they've got 9 points, and they're just a couple of points out of playoff position.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you even look at the Western Conference and you look at Seattle Sounders too, only 5 points out of the playoffs. Over on the opposite end, well, that's a different case if you start looking at FC Montreal. But you start going there. Let me just move back to the Western Conference, okay? You did a couple of weeks ago, a team like Energy FC were pretty much second to last place. A couple of wins, a couple of good results that they were able to put together, and now they are in the playoff hunt, as they do have matches in hand to be able to spare as far as that's concerned. But overall, almost every single team has a chance to be able to get to the playoffs.
And of course, the first coaching change of the season comes in Pittsburgh. The Riverhounds naming a new head coach. Meanwhile, in Vancouver, early shades of Rochester Rhinos' amazing season from last year. They are undefeated through 8 games. You never know what could happen. Maybe Vancouver could make a run all the way down the stretch, similar to the one Rochester made last year.
That is going to be very impressive to see a very good team that we see in Vancouver that have been able to come up with some big results, make some big statements on the road as well as at home. So definitely a team to be looking at in Vancouver to really dominate in the Western Conference, or maybe not dominate, but be a very important player.
Certainly so. We look forward to the USL Game of the Week schedule, all these coming on ESPN3. We see Real Monarchs, who are in 8th in the West, against Sacramento Republic, a chance to see one of the great fan bases in the United Soccer League. LA Galaxy 2 near the top of the standings against the Roughnecks. Arizona United and Rio Grande Valley on the schedule on June 22nd. And in July, Arizona United again and Tulsa Roughnecks again. So we continue with the Western Conference swing of our schedule.
And it's not a bad conference to be looking at, especially if you start talking about the teams that we just mentioned. So really exciting football that we're going to be seeing, and it'll be a very impressive summer for many fans throughout the country.
Meanwhile, 29 teams in the United Soccer League, another couple on the way. The newest has been announced, and it's Nashville, Music City, USA, as area that has supported international football at such a great level. 25,000 in March to watch the U.S. women's national team. Last year in July, 45,000 to watch the U.S. men's national team. They'll see Mexico play against an opponent to be determined in early October. But a lot of excitement about this Nashville side joining the league in a couple of years.
Yeah, it is a very impressive bit of numbers that we've seen as far as football is concerned in the state of Tennessee, in the city of Nashville. So a very good place to really start to create a fan base, a culture as far as that's concerned. So a lot of exciting and good times coming up for fans in that part of the country.
You've got a lot of registered players, a lot of youth players, and a lot of soccer being played in the state of Tennessee, and more importantly, an ownership group with great local ties and certainly a pathway to a soccer-specific stadium in Nashville as well. So exciting times in the United Soccer League, exciting times in recent minutes in this game at Toyota Field in San Antonio. We have no score, but plentiful chances. RGV and San Antonio, second half kickoff next in the USL Game of the Week. Soccer League Game of the Week. Juan Arango, Mike Watts, and fans readying for the second half in the South Texas Derby. It's the second all-time meeting between Rio Grande Valley FC Toros and San Antonio FC. And Juan, the goalkeeping, tremendous in the first half. It's the field players who need to move a little more and try and create a little bit more offense.
Yeah, the spaces have been there. The exploitation of them, well, leaves a little bit to be desired in some stretches. Again, one of the players that's really stood out was TJ Castro. Tremendous how he's able to hold the ball, but again, the defense gives him so much room. He takes full advantage of it. Has been able to find his opponent or his teammates on several occasions, so really makes him be that player that pulls the strings and do it in a very proper manner. Now, for San Antonio, you really haven't seen that one player. Maybe Rafa Castillo can fall into that category, but it's been Carlos Alvarez that we really need to start seeing, as he has been losing the ball continuously in the middle of the pitch, and that really starts to handicap them in that sector, forcing them to go out wide and maybe not getting the best chances, but they have still had some quality opportunities so far in this match.
Darren Powell in his first season giving his instructions. 5 subs for either side, none used thus far in the first half. Powell's goal, cultivating talent in San Antonio. It's something that the larger Spurs Sports and Entertainment group has done. The NBA level, at the NBA D-League level, in the WNBA and the AHL, and now in the USL. It's a rivalry between 2 organizations as much as 2 teams. Spurs Sports and Entertainment own the NBA D-League franchise, a team that played in the playoffs against Rio Grande Valley's NBA D-League franchise, the Austin Stars, winning. Now Josh Ford and San Antonio taking that onto the pitch. There's a sub for San Antonio. Cochran will come in the second half after starting the game on the bench. This is his 10th consecutive game played in USL competition.
And you start to see a couple of adjustments here and there, because Cochran does offer you more movement. If you're talking about him moving into a left back position, it would be a situation where you see him really moving into that slot and really being able to offer more offense. Mosley did that at times, but he did get lost in spurts and in moments where he really was, his best passes were passes that he was dropping back when he was on the attack.
Cochran, Araujo, and Francois in for San Antonio in the second half. And San Antonio attacking immediately. The cross falls. Reed knocked away. That ball went stories high, being chased by Francois and picked up.
And again, it's Palacios coming through. Oh, that first touch, that first touch, that first touch. Oh my goodness, betraying him one more time.
Reed has not scored yet this year. That's just the 4th shot he's taken this season. It was deflected on the way through. Francois getting in a bit of a fight in the middle of the field.
And it'll be interesting to see the big man there. More accustomed to seeing him play up top and be more of a nuisance to the defense in that part of the pitch. Really not accustomed to seeing him in more of a recovery role and trying to take up a lot more space or have to traverse a lot more space in order to really get to be more functional.
You can see him playing as a tandem with Johnson in this 4-4-2. Reed plays it off the official. That's fair game. It's Johnson playing it wide. Castillo couldn't get there. San Antonio said coming into the season that they're looking to have ambitious players. They don't just have a short-term future, but a long-term future for their franchise in mind. Castillo won't likely be around for the long term at the age of 35 going on 36, but he's a player who establishes culture for this San Antonio side in their expansion season. Played through Johnson. Johnson still going, and he sends it on net. Johnson trying to chase the rebound from Brown, but it's cleared away. Reed now. San Antonio, the better of the chances in the dying embers of the first half, and back at it in the second. Back to Mosley, now Castillo.
That last play there by Johnson, that was about as direct as I've seen San Antonio from that sector. Now you see Carlos Alvarez out, you do see a bit more dynamic, a bit more directness in that particular section as far as the attack is concerned.
There's Ford, the early man of the match.
The way things are going right now, could be both goalkeepers sharing it.
It's looking like it, isn't it? It's been a really good season for both goalkeepers. Callie Brown has seen less time, but he's won both of his starts this year. This is the first time he started 2 games in a row. For Josh Ford, he's the captain. Played in the USL a couple of years ago for OC Blues on loan. Played for Orlando City last season. Did make a start and made 6 saves against the Philadelphia Union, which would probably be a little more impressive this season, truth be told, as Reed engaged in battle in the middle of the park. Bradnock Brennan, Castillo, Kastner. Up the left-hand side, a dirtied Escalante, and that goes all the way across, and Ford paws off. Never made contact.
Wise choice is the option he would have had is to just put it right back into the middle, causing a lot more complications there. But again, good cross from the left side. And the defense really doing a good job of just watching that ball roll out.
Ford given the go-ahead. San Antonio has allowed just 10 goals in 8 games this season. That has not been the problem for San Antonio. It's not why they're sitting outside of playoff position nearing the quarter pole. It's been the offense that has caused issues. Francois chasing.
Notice that line there where the pressure is trying to force them to move around more vertically. You do see San Antonio's forwards in a line. Right now you don't see that, but you do see the individual pressure. Not allowing RGV a lot of room to really start looking towards the middle and try and bring that ball out cleanly.
Again, Francois providing the pressure. RGV moving upfield. A push from the side out of Ujo, dispossessing the RGV player. And the pass for Francois cut out. High hop, McBride trying to handle it. 2 players collapse to the ground, a 50-50 ball, and it's Kastner who comes away. Kastner and Bradnock Brennan, and the foul against San Antonio.
They were both jostling for position. Kastner also had his arm extended, but the referee from the angle he saw looking a bit refreshed now in the second half. Here's referee Brendan Artis.
What say you, Juan?
Going both ways. Look. Of course, the one that goes down gets the foul, so that's fair game. All's fair in love and war, so.
RGV trying to pull ahead in the 53rd minute. The service is headed away by the wall. It's Malky. Sends it long up the left-hand side. Escalante deflected. Kasner taking over. Araujo playing it ahead for Johnson. He's got Francois running down the middle. Castillo as well. Johnson has it knocked off his foot. Sliding play. Johnson maintains possession as Cochran was involved. And Castillo now. Back one step, Mosley. Now Francois let it go just by him.
He was trying to get all excited too.
There was buildup happening. There hasn't been nearly enough of that in the second half as Reed chasing. Radnock Brennan tracks it down, finds Ford. Game one, 5 second half goals. 3-2 win on the road for Rio Grande Valley. The opening edition of the South Texas Derby. Game 2 right now, game 3 is just a week and a half away. Whose ball is it? It belongs to Mosley. That against the objection of Kai Green. Castillo upfield, a touch for Araujo. Johnson sends it back up the right side now. Cochran's service for Johnson cut out. Castillo, ball bounced over him, and back comes Rio Grande Valley with speed up the field. And the move inside, Mosley not whistled for the foul. It's Cochran for San Antonio.
Mosley trying to open himself up wide here, but that play, you saw a lot of things going well at the beginning until they got to that final third where you started seeing players getting in each other's way, and that really was what extinguished that attack.
Played long for the speed of Francois. Francois blasting in and keeps it in play. And he's knocked off the ball and the whistle blows. And a yellow card is coming, and it's against Kai Green.
Again, good work there as you saw a great deal of persistence. The big guy Francois really coming into this match for these particular types of reasons, to be able to work hard, to be able to fight for each ball. He does have the pace to make a difference, but it's these situations is where he stands out the most, and the yellow card being given, as you mentioned, to Kai Green in the 56th minute.
Green, the man out of Seton Hall. Midfield, little defender in his career there. You can see why he's been up and down the touchline of late. Escalante is the one-man wall. Araujo to put the ball back in play. Can San Antonio break the deadlock? Araujo, the cross. Kasner plays it back to midfield.
I like what Araujo's been able to do to get involved in this match so much in such a short period of time.
Johnson, the push-off. Araujo has been involved not only on set pieces, but he's been up and down the field. He's been very busy.
And that's something that he brings in that Carlos Alvarez did not. Being able to hold the ball, to open the ball, to really move back and contain and also go on the attack in the transition phase of the game. He's been much more effective at it than Carlos Alvarez was during this first half.
Araujo, the 24-year-old Brazilian, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Johnson pushed away. Sliding play by Mosley.
Good work there by Mosley.
A man from Stoke City. And it comes to Castillo. Castillo knocked off the ball. And back comes Rio Grande Valley. Jorginho James. McBride kept kicking the ball forward, and the referee had his arm around him.
A bit too communicative, has to assert himself. But yeah, right there, just, well, obviously look at the physical matchup there between Rafa Castillo and Jorginho James.
James 6'2", and you can see he's got a couple inches there on Castillo.
Yeah, he's got a couple of heel sizes on him.
That's right. It's a goal kick coming up. Bradnock Brennan heavily involved. He made his first career start against Rio Grande Valley in the first meeting of the series on May 7th. This is right in line. Francois knocked off the ball. Backstopped by San Antonio. It's Castillo for Araujo. Mosley the step over.
We start to see how McBride is forcing the issue, looking to go to a high line.
Mosley played wide, sends the service out in front. Araujo was involved in the 18, but played back to midfield by Escalante. Chested to Castillo. Splits two defenders. Araujo. Back heel pass.
Offside.
Was he offside? Wouldn't have mattered anyways. Johnson puts it over. Johnson was a couple of Johnson lengths ahead there. The tall forward.
Again, a first bit of creativity there from Araujo, the native of Salvador Bahia. But right there you see completely offside, as you mentioned, by a couple of Johnson lengths away. Never heard it that way, but it does, you do make the point. They're quite big, quite a difference there.
How many games do you call Jason Johnson? Not many this year. There'll be more. San Antonio, 5 points in their first 3 games, 4 points in their last 6. The team facing some early season adversity under Darren Powell. Trying to break through. Johnson nearly chested that down. Francois the pressure. And RGV bringing it back to midfield. Escalante. Pushed by Araujo. Taken by Mosley. And with speed, he plays the middle of the field. Pressure on Cochran. He coughs it up. Mid wide by James. Good crowd on hand here in San Antonio's Toyota Field. It's Kai Green. Back line doing the dirty work right now for Rio Grande Valley, trying to find a break from the pressure of Francois and Johnson. It's Green again. And a push from Francois. Finally, the possession is broken. It wasn't particularly useful possession, though, for RGV.
It hadn't been useful possession, but now they're just really trying to hold on to the ball to stave off any potential attacks from San Antonio. That's a problem now, because you really don't see them getting the midfield involved. The midfield, in turn, is not moving around and getting itself involved and making itself available.
That's the problem we were talking about in the first half. Really not a lot has changed in terms of players moving off the ball and creating opportunities for themselves. As we enter the 63rd minute, Johnson lets this go by, and it goes all the way to Callie Brown. Rio Grande Valley looking for some better possession, and the forwards are playing just a little bit deeper to prevent Those back passes, Ward playing it back. Rio Grande Valley seems okay with taking this game to a crawl, and now they move 0 to 100. Played through on the left-hand side and kicked away by Ford.
First time in this second half that you really start to see RGV attacking the left side, a side that was so prolific throughout the first 45 minutes. Not so much the case anymore, but very clumsy challenge there.
And Johnson's asking for a yellow. It is indeed issued. Goes against Charlie Ward. That's his third yellow picked up this year.
Sorry, they're just completely uncalled for.
A yellow card caution has been assessed to Rio Grande.
Yeah, the timing was just poor there on the play.
Ward was playing with the first team in training for Houston Dynamo at the end of last season, was looking for first team minutes, came up in the Aston Villa Academy, played Stoke City U21s with Mosley on the other side for San Antonio. Araujo trying to flip the ball to the other side, and a terrific defensive play to intercept the pass. Escalante plays it back for Green.
That's a name that you have not mentioned in an attacking function in Escalante throughout the second half. He was very effective early on, and his form tended to dip significantly as time went by.
Hasn't been the same player really for the last 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes, he had a couple of really good opportunities, and part of it is Kastner's getting the ball so far away, like he did right there, that he can't play a guy like Escalante into a forward position.
No, you can't. I mean, that's absolutely right. It's not happening.
Sliding in, and a foul, and another yellow card is coming against San Antonio. George Malky is down. 15 years a hockey player. He'll get back up stronger.
Number 20, Greg Cochran in the 65th minute.
Cochran didn't make a lot of contact there either.
No, he didn't make a lot of contact. But again, Malky selling it a little bit more, and referee Brandon Artis buying it completely.
Malky, one of 4 kids from Scottsdale, Arizona. His parents, Sarge Maggie, they own a restaurant in that area. Not really looking to get into the restaurant business, though. The articles I read leading into this game, been written about him in the past. He's looking to stay in soccer for a while. He's had a good game today. He's been heavily involved for RGV.
Jorginho James looking like, well, harking back to 1982, the World Cup team for Brazil, especially with the shorts, looking a little bit like Serginho.
We've got a picture of that here, and fair point. It's a fair point. Ford and San Antonio taking the time to try and get a bit of a water break here. Another look at the foul.
The thing is, you do understand where the referee's seeing it from.
Absolutely.
He sees the cleats up, and any little type of minimal, I don't know, insinuation of contact, the referee's going to call it, especially from the angle he was. That's one thing that needs to be looked at and clarified at times. It's not the infraction itself. It's where the perspective that the referee sees it from. And I know that sounds kind of unfair, but it's just the reality of it is he only has 0.2 of a second to make a decision whether it's a foul or not.
And Brandon Artis immediately whistled the foul, immediately grabbed for the yellow card. And George Malky is headed off under his own power. And all of a sudden, RGV, who has had no substantial possession in the second half, have a free kick opportunity about 35 yards away from net. And maybe this can be the play that turns the tide back towards the offensive end for the Toros.
That has to be one of the factors as you see Garcia coming in. Emilio Garcia. As he comes in, he'll be replacing Escalante.
You mentioned really struggled to make an impact in the second half.
Yes, he did.
Replacing number 11, Jose Escalante.
So 68th minute of play. And yet another substitution for Rio Grande Valley. It'll be important to see what inclination Wilmer Cabrera has as far as the attack is concerned.
And another player goes down. Magalhaes. Out of Eastern Florida, transferred to Maryland, played for Oliver 12trees, who's the Orlando City B color analyst. We look at the play there on the right-hand side of your screen. To be fair, Brandon Artis was on that the whole way. He saw that entire jostling effort.
Yeah, he saw everything, so needless to say, just, oh, well, we got tangled up. It's all good. You know, let's just play on.
Sure enough. That's the way it's going to be. Put in play, center of the box. Araujo controls. San Antonio sends the clearance upfield. Garcia involved and played all the way back to Callie Brown, and RGV, who had pushed all the way forward, now retracts all the way back.
Not only that, it took Callie Brown quite a bit to try and send that ball, deliver it in a proper direction. As you see a substitution coming on for San Antonio. Looks like it'll be Danny Garcia. Much needed spark up top for San Antonio, as we see RGV really not doing a lot as far as finding clarity, but still looking for the best possible opportunities, and also, better yet, looking to try and get to goal.
And this is where things got interesting. Last time these teams met, it was the last 20-plus minutes, including a stoppage time game-winning goal from Rob Lovejoy. This ball played over the top. Johnson pushing. Johnson still running. Callie Brown has it. We talk about those 5 second-half goals, and in total, 4 of the 5 scored by players who are not in the 18 for either side today. Rob Lovejoy scored twice. Mauro Manotas scored once. Nolo Sanchez scored for San Antonio, and he's unavailable due to international duty.
And you mentioned a couple of names there, Lovejoy, Manotas. 5 of those goals that they've scored so far this season not present in this lineup today. So you do see a bit of a handicap due to the rotation that Wilmer Cabrera is looking to implement, and also because of absences on the other side for San Antonio.
Well, and you'd like to have the problem of having international players on your team. Araujo taking over, back heels it for Francois. Blasted back. Kasner played it to the left side. There was nobody there. Well, there was somebody there, he just didn't hit him. There's the sub you mentioned a moment ago. Garcia comes on for San Antonio, and that's enough for Jason Johnson. So 2 new forwards in the second half, Johnson and Francois. The initial pairing now, Danny Garcia will work with Francois. And a loud contingent for Danny Garcia, who's out of the Dallas Academy from Dallas, Texas. Danny Garcia does have 2 goals this season. Palacios guiding traffic, sends the high arcing throw. Palacios heads it back into the 18. Garcia was coming in, Castillo pushing for the ball. RGV had it initially, Mosley still chasing, and it's kicked out of harm's way by Kai Green. Mosley for Garcia, quickly swallowed up. Played onside, Garcia. The service deflected, San Antonio has a corner kick.
And manufactured a bit clumsily, but still effectively, as at this stage now, San Antonio 235 minutes without having scored a goal.
Victor Araujo lays the cross, deflected back. Long range volley is wide right. It was quite the effort there from Cochran.
Quite the effort, and again, that 235-minute drought, not due to lack of chances. They've had them, they just haven't been able to put them on the other side of the net in that case.
No score, 74th minute on the way in San Antonio. A geographic rivalry without doubt. Two teams trying to put their stamp on professional soccer in their expansion seasons in South Texas. The line, Memo Rodriguez playing it back. Spinning away was Ward. And again, the ball belongs to Callie Brown. Toros looking for their first back-to-back wins. San Antonio trying to get a grip on a 5-game stretch, a 6-game stretch in truth, where they've struggled to put up wins, including at home. And Green whistled for the foul on Castillo.
So up to now, only one goal in the state of Texas.
That mean we have an update from Frisco?
U.S. winning 1-0. Goal in the 90th minute by Darlington Nagby.
Ooh. Darlington Nagby out of Cleveland, Ohio. And the whistle goes against San Antonio. It's another yellow. How about that?
What's it? It had to be against McBride? Oh, Brannick Brennan.
Yep. Kyle Murphy
A yellow card
tugged.
caution has been assessed to Antonio Garcia, 14, Nico Brennan in the 76th minute.
It's a total of 5 yellow cards issued. Luckily, they don't actually give away the yellow card, or I would think that Brandon Artis would be out by now.
I think that's a good idea.
So an opportunity for RGV. Stepping over, Kasner fires, and Ford again. The terrific save in the upper corner.
And 5 saves for Josh Ford tonight. Boy, he has stepped up in a big way. And that's what you need. When your team's struggling offensively, it's time for your goalkeeper to shine. And once again, the wily veteran being able to step up in a big way.
Ford, the 28-year-old, playing terrific ball all year long, hasn't been beaten yet. The service, the header is played wide right. Went off the ground, would have been a tough save if it were on target, but alas.
And you see great ball, and then trying to knot it to the second post in this case. And just coming wide, didn't have much of an angle to really sneak it in. Still a good effort nonetheless.
Played long by Reed. Touched by Garcia. Reed taking over again for San Antonio. Castillo gives it a try, and that had no chance as it flew wide left.
Had the space. Nobody was challenging. Why not? And he has a cannon for a left foot.
78th minute, and the game beginning to open up, just as it did earlier this month when these two sides met. Nightfall in San Antonio at Toyota Field for the USL Game of the Week. Araujo earns the throw-in.
Terrell, it's 24 hours later, getting the call as Memo Rodriguez will come off.
Right against Real Sociedad, was on the bench for that game. Lucatero. Memo Rodriguez headed off. They had a couple of goals in the first half against Swope Park Rangers, never quite got on the same level in this game. Here's Lucatero, who made a tremendous impact in the previous meeting between these sides. A couple of assists. And a foul coming against RGV. Araujo involved on the offensive end. And San Antonio's got an opportunity here.
Oh, he does. They do, and you see right there, the jersey grab and Artist right there to make the call. Again, everything we've been talking about for over 79 minutes, still a relevant theme as far as what needs to be done, not just by San Antonio, but also by RGV.
Rafa Castillo. Take this free kick. Castillo sends it towards the net, and it's handled on the fly by Callie Brown.
Where was the run being made there? Really, there wasn't anyone particular that you saw making a dashing run towards a post or towards goal or even towards the ball as a reference. That really left you with a taste of like, okay, what do you want? What needs to be done? What was the purpose behind that service?
Which is a little surprising because that's been the area that San Antonio has most dominated tonight.
Yeah, it's really telling as far as that's concerned. So we'll see if the, well, not adjustments at this point, but if it can be improved in these final 10+ minutes.
Foul against Garcia. And here comes RGV up the left-hand wing. Emilio Garcia couldn't win the corner. Instead, it's a goal kick for San Antonio. Josh Ford.
Let's see what happens in the coming minutes, especially with Wilmer Cabrera. See what happens. Of course, Owen Coyle decided to leave the Houston Dynamo.
And that news just now breaking. Of course, Rio Grande Valley has a partnership, a hybrid affiliation with Houston. And the Houston Dynamo, in fact, were the ones who hired Wilmer Cabrera, who has been an MLS head coach before, so there may be a shuffle coming. And there was a wide open player, Garcia, on the right side, who was utterly missed.
Absolutely. Not sure what they were looking at there, as the space was on the right side, and really giving them all types of space to defend for RGV.
Played right down the middle, and again, it was Murphy on the right side who was ignored. It's not that guys aren't making runs at this particular juncture. That's been a problem before. Guys just aren't being seen.
And right there in the middle, took too much time. The run was being made on the near side. Yep. No one's seeing him there.
And Mosley was well behind. Emilio Garcia was an available target. It's Danny Garcia who loses the ball. But the ball stays with San Antonio. Garcia, a couple of touches, and he's pushed off the ball. And San Antonio will take over.
As you see the replay here, again, Danny Garcia just battling, finding in between two RGV men. See, I got the Serginho. I mean, you see the shorts there. And
Right.
Now, I was about to call him Serginho there, as a matter of fact.
And now Darren Powell, to your point, it's not that you can change your whole strategy on free kicks. It's that you're just expecting a little bit more here in this opportunity
and
than
more
the last.
sharpness. I mean, I know the legs are getting heavy at this stage of the match, but you still need to start finding a bit more purpose on your runs, not just going in and hopefully finding the ball.
Araujo into the middle of the 18. It's popped up and out of play. It's a corner coming for San Antonio. And Araujo will take it again.
And maybe a little bit better there, but again, even better defending by RGV to be able to drop back, track back, and be able to meet that ball. Still ends up being a corner kick for San Antonio.
Araujo in the middle. And it's kicked back over the top of everybody. Backstopped, Palacios. Castillo! That's a worm burner that sends wide.
We did see this at the end of their last match against Energy FC, really pinning Energy back, really looking to pressure. So you know that the potential to create something is there. You know that the potential to start finding your teammates is there. So the problem is that last touch, that last pass, and sometimes even the second to last touch has been the one that's betrayed San Antonio so far during this dry spell.
85th minute, Emilio Garcia grabbing for his head. Meanwhile, RGV is pushing ahead. A couple of touches inside, and it's played back to Castillo. Plays an incisive ball that's intercepted. Kastner dancing, got away from Cochran. Again, Kastner playing really far back to try and make that final pass. Extra touch, middle of the 18. And the ball taken away off his foot. He just never made the move.
Way too many touches, way too many touches. Have to try and find the angle much quicker, try and make something happen. Did have two teammates to feed the ball off of, but neither nor.
Francois' diagonal ball was intended for Araujo.
Really like what RGV's been able to do. Yeah, you did see San Antonio pressing, but now they're pushing back. And now even more so, they're even more dangerous than San Antonio.
Lucatero's pass, Kastner dispossessed. Backstop by James, who's pushed by Araujo.
Got to be much quicker after those resets, giving a lot of time for the defense to settle down.
Lucatero was brought down. Was attacked by the turf monster. Play continues. Francois has already won a race here, and that's why Kai Green heads it out of play.
And he doesn't want any complications. Might as well reset and be ready for another battle. 87 minutes as you see Taylor Hunter coming on.
Kyle Murphy off.
A pretty silent match for Kyle Murphy.
Murphy also out of Clemson, just like Kastner, signed after him right before the season began.
Tremendous season. Clemson had both men and women's sides this past year. As you see that program stepping up in a big way, especially on the women's side. It's grown so quick, so fast.
On the men's side, they lost to Jordan Morris and Stanford in the College Cup final. Meanwhile, Mosley chipping far side. Had a target back there. Danny Garcia, close but no cigar. Headed towards the 89th minute. San Antonio has been bit by 1-0 losses 3 different times this year. Looking for their second home win of the season. Played wide. Rio Grande Valley looking for their second straight win. Played around the referee and back to James. Lucatero the target. A long ball back. Kicked away by Brown.
At this stage, you start to wonder and start to ponder how unforgiving a game this is. Escalante early on lamenting what could be at this point the game winner. Sloppy play, unclear play, both teams lacking clarity. In those instances where those kind of mistakes are made, boy, you definitely want to have them back at the end of the day.
Braddock Brennan, Kasner there, and as good as the chances have been, Josh Ford has been even better. Callie Brown has made a couple of big saves in the second half. We would be remiss if we didn't mention just how good the goalkeeping was today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I was kind of kidding around as far as both goalkeepers being the man of the match, but right now, I mean, it sounds kind of valid.
It is. And the foul there prevents an opportunity for RGV as we're in the 90th minute. And it's a performance that may put this man on the USL Team of the Week this coming week.
I mean, you have to. You have to start looking at what he's been able to do. I mean, all types of saves and all types of varieties, from the acrobatic to the technically skilled and very smart. So, again, at least for me, Josh Ford has to be the man of the match.
Araujo trying to add his own name to the list, and it's deflected away. It's the goalkeeping again of Callie Brown.
And yeah, I had him too.
They can split it. 3 minutes of extra time. Chipped wide. So much room on the left-hand side. Played across, and a corner coming up.
And the impetus of the match really increasing as time gets shorter and shorter. We start seeing less and less of it. But again, Araujo, tremendous left-footed shot, but even better save there by Callie Brown. And on the other side, well, it's been Josh Ford as well. So lots of good goalkeeping that has really saved the day.
Lucatero on the corner. Headed, and it's wide right. Now San Antonio has minimum 2 minutes to work with as they bring the ball ahead against the pressure of Rio Grande Valley. Castillo.
Leo Maya getting ready to come, excuse me, Leo Ayala getting ready to come in for RGV.
Long ball over the top will be handled by Brown. Of course, you need a stoppage to get him in. And of late, play has been up and down. Fans trying to will one more goal out of their side. That's off the head of McBride. But RGV still on the attack. Up the left again. Lucatero, fancy footwork. The service played back to Kasner, and Lucatero again. He'll get a second crack. And he'd like to have that one back.
Good effort there crossing it to one of the ball girls, but that's really not the point there. As you see a very desperate Darren Powell, as it's been RGV towards the end really dominating. That'll be Kastner coming off for Ayala.
Kudos to him. He played
Very,
such a great game, Kastner.
very good match there for Kastner, as he's been, as far as field players are concerned, one of those that you need to highlight. Really need to see them stand out because his ability with the ball at his feet was remarkable.
Coming up after the match, we look back at the goalkeeping that gave each side a point, it appears. Francois, maybe one more chance. He's brought down. Full time. A 0-0 draw between Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio FC. And two exhausted sides, Juan.
Two exhausted sides because of the physicality and the running they did. And again, lacking precision in key moments. That's why we were not able to see a goal scored, but also give a lot of credit to the goalkeepers. I mean, plain and simple, they were tremendous, and that's part of the reason why we had a very exciting, at times sloppy, scoreless draw.
Escalante had his chance, and Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio each walk away with a point. When we come back, stats, highlights, as we finish in San Antonio. No score, full time. You're watching the USL Game of the Week. Toyota Field and two sides who gave everything tonight, but not a goal between them. The USL Game of the Week with Juan Arango. Mike Watts, final score, Rio Grande Valley FC Toros 0, San Antonio 0. It wasn't without opportunities, that's for sure. We look back at the game highlights between these two sides, and it's the goalkeepers who made all the difference in the world. Josh Ford and Callie Brown inciting these fans all game long.
And they really put on a show. They really showed everyone how goalkeeping needed to be. Well, this one, how defense should be played. But nonetheless, again, very forgiving. Escalante. Palacios on the other side said, anything you can do? Well, I can do pretty much just the same. But I missed there as well. But again, you did see Ford stepping up in a big way there. That was the first of his 5 saves tonight. And then you start to see him really put it on.
Memo Rodriguez deflected away. There's a handball that leads to an opportunity for San Antonio. They were good on set pieces tonight, but couldn't find the goal.
And that was one of the things that you started to notice at times when they were sharp. They were really able to at least discomfort Callie Brown, but not totally. But again, it was Josh Brown in that first half looking sensational.
Another save for Ford. Here's the corner to end the first half. 2 corners in the final seconds. This one nearly on goal. Stopped from McBride.
That fadeaway header didn't have a lot of power behind it, but again, you did see some good chances, but not going into the back of the net, and that's the key, obviously, in any situation. And Callie Brown said, hey, you know what? I can do this too.
Brown on the stop of Johnson. Need to make a couple more late. Francois providing so much pressure late. Araujo sends this cross. Wasn't able to find a head yet again.
And Araujo comes in, really starts offering a lot more varieties, a lot more options for San Antonio compared to what Carlos Alvarez was able to do, and he was doing some really good work. Yellow card being given there to Cochran on that play, as the referee, Brandon Artis, well, saw some type of contact, which there wasn't any.
A total of 5 yellow cards issued in the game, that of the tactical variety. And this opportunity for Kasner again parried away by Ford. And then a corner late in the game, into the ground, played it wide. San Antonio got their chances late. Castillo going wide, not able to put it on. And then this, no trigger pulled.
And there you see, I also give a lot of credit to the defense really staying their ground and forcing the opportunity. And again, Cali Brown coming up big off that shot from Araujo.
In the end, no goals between these two sides. It's a 0-0 game. Get his autograph while you can. Final score, Rio Grande Valley FC 0, San Antonio FC 0. Technical facilities provided by Vista WorldLink. For our crew and producer, Kevin Relenthan, and analyst Juan Arango, Mike Watts saying so long from San Antonio, where Rio Grande Valley and FC and San Antonio FC share the spoils, a point each. You've been watching the United Soccer League Game of the Week. Have a good night, everybody.
Stretched out to the middle. Back to Grande.
Broke it up. There's a shot. They score! They score!
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.